Hello, everyone, and welcome to this month's Creatrix Conversations, our first one of the year. And, okay, now I'm going live again. Hello and welcome, everyone. Welcome to our first Creatrix Conversations of the year. And I am really excited to be here this month and talking about meeting chaos with creativity. This is really timely for me, and it's funny how I was even experiencing some chaos, some technical difficulties, even starting this live video, which is why I'm starting this a few minutes late. There's really no there's no lack of chaos in our lives right now, is there? And there's certainly no lack of uncertainty. And of course, we could talk about whether or not there's in fact more uncertainty now than there ever was, but we're certainly more aware of it than we ever have been. So welcome. Hello, Michelle. Hello, Vanessa. Wonderful, wonderful. So I'm here. The technology seems to be working, even though we're in Mercury retrograde. Yay! So once again, these Creatrix conversations are monthly talks that I host here in the group, Awaken the Goddess Within, or perhaps you're tuning into the replay through the Earth Song Library. No matter how you are participating, tuning in, welcome. I want to give you a big warm welcome. Thank you so much for being a part of the Earth Song Temple community, being in this group. And in case you're new to this community or new to me, my name is Flora Ware, and I am a ceremonial priestess, a cyclic living teacher, and a pagan songstress. And my passion is really in bringing women together, holding sacred space for our soul's journey through life. Right. And for me, a lot of that has to do with a combination of positive psychology, goddess archetypes, and harmonizing with nature's sacred rhythms. So, again, thank you for being here. Hello, Leah. Hello, Heidi. Hello, Lily. Hello, Tamaro. Wonderful, wonderful. So, before I dive into today's topic, I just want to make sure that everyone knows that in 2 weeks, we are going to be gathering for our annual Imbolc ceremony. And this is part of the Wheel of the Year Holy Day ceremonies that we have been coming together for years. Imbolc is that halfway point between winter solstice and spring equinox for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere. And so you are warmly invited to attend. It's going to be happening on Tuesday, February 4th. It is free. Donations are also welcomed. But RSVP there through the link. We're going to be having a wonderful, wonderful ceremony to celebrate Imbolc and connecting with the goddess Bridget. So there's that. Ceremony actually is one of the ways that I meet chaos with creativity. So that's truly one of the ways that I make sense of it all. But maybe just as we're getting started, who has been feeling a little bit more chaos in the last couple of years, right? Anyone? Am I alone in this? Feeling a lot more chaos. And like I said earlier, an argument certainly could be made that perhaps there is not, in fact, more than there used to be. But we are certainly more aware of it. We're more aware of it than we ever have been. And so, okay, we're getting some hands raised. Yeah, over here, 100% chaos in my life. All the structures coming down. Oh my goddess, too much chaos. Yeah, okay. So great. That's what I've been feeling. And so I always know whatever I'm going through and whatever medicine I need at a certain time is going to be the same medicine for other women in my community, in this sisterhood. Not across the board, but that's the way. So, because here we are in January of 2022. Here we are at the beginning of a third year in an unprecedented global pandemic. This experience has changed us. It has affected us all. Now, not in the same ways, right? Everyone's experience has definitely been unique. We're not experiencing the same things exactly. We're not being affected in the same ways. But all of us undoubtedly have been affected. Our lives have been irrevocably changed. And here we are. Like I said, we're going into the third year of this, right? So we're over the initial shock. And, even I know I've been having conversations looking at like the famous stages of grief. I don't know if you've brought that into your awareness, noticing how I responded in the first year, 2020, and I went through all the stages of grief. And it's true. And so, but wherever you're at, really, with that, but here we are, right? And as we know, some of us embrace change. Some of us actively seek out change, initiate change, and some of us really resist change. So even just based on that, your experience can be influenced, right? And even some of us that tend to embrace change may have been resisting everything that has been going on, or in certain ways, right? Maybe you're welcoming some things and you're not. I know that in all of this, I mean, so many of us, we've been through these last few years together, but even if you're new to this particular community, you've been in it, right? You've been going through it. In all of this, I'm sure that you've seen that there's people like myself and many of you, if not most of you in this community, were like, yes, yes, the world is falling apart. Yes, the structures are crumbling. Yes, this is the time that we have been waiting for to build that new earth, to build that future that we just know is possible, right? You've seen that, right? Some of us, they're like, yes, right? Rallying to live a new way of living that is a collaborative society that looks out for everyone, the greater good, while simultaneously honoring the individual's sovereignty, right? That future that we hold, right? And then at the same time, there's so many people that have been responding with, this is the end of days. We are in the apocalypse. The damage and the corruption of this society is too far gone. We're beyond repair. We're all just going to hell in a handbasket. So, I've seen that response too, which tends to include a lot of indulgence and that kind of attitude of like, let's just party hard until the party's over. Not necessarily a bad idea either in some ways. So how everyone responds is very different, and we will respond differently to different news and to different triggers. So there's been so much division, right? There's been so much contradictory information. There's been so much stress and chaos. And so I'm really just bringing this up right now because what I'm here to share is that we need to come into acceptance of it all. Accepting that we've been in chaos, accepting that we've been stressed out, accepting how we've been reacting, even if a part of us thinks, oh, I wish I was reacting in a different way, right? I truly feel that the most important thing for us all right now is to come into full acceptance that the coronaviruses are not going away. You know, we're not going to get through this and get past it and like just be done with it. And like, we really have to accept that. And I'm purposefully slowing down my words and even my energy right now to hold space, because if one of you is listening right now and this is the first time that you've really heard someone saying this, I know it can be a lot, because I remember exactly the first time that I heard a friend say this, and it was only a couple months ago, and it hit me hard. I don't want to accept that we are still in this crazy pandemic. I didn't want to accept that coronaviruses were here to stay. I kept on thinking, like, I can't wait until we're through this. And she really witnessed me and said, there's no getting through this or over this. We can only move forward with this. So yeah, it was a huge moment for me to come into that acceptance. And really, it's taken me a couple of months to continue to accept it and really integrate it, to even be able to share this with you and hold space for this right now. So I'm raising my hands in a gesture that we often do in ceremony, where I'm just holding that space for anyone that's like me just a couple months ago, like, oh, I don't want to accept it. Right? Until we can come into acceptance of what is, then we're going to keep on struggling. We're going to keep on being in friction against the present moment, right? And if we're in denial or resistance or friction, then we cannot create and manifest and be in the magic that is possible when we're resisting. So that is how we meet chaos with creativity. First, we have to accept the chaos. And I know it's not easy. I know it's not easy. But this is where I'm at right now. This is my response to accept the mess that we're in, to accept my part in it. We have to accept a thing first before we can change that thing, right? And you could translate this into habits, thought forms, relationships, right? It's really like that very first step of like accepting, acknowledging that there is a thing. And then you can decide whether you want to change it or not. So really, you all know me, that I believe we are powerful beings with our ability to co-create our reality, right? That bears repeating. I truly believe that we are all powerful beings that are able to co-create our reality. But the key word in there is that we're co-creating. Right? We are co-creating with ourselves. And we're either co-creating with ourselves, all ourselves, or against ourselves. We're co-creating our reality with our friends, our families, our neighbors. And of course, we're also co-creating with the divine. So while I'm talking about acceptance and how important acceptance is, and responsibility, this when we really stand in that belief that we are co-creating our reality, that it naturally involves that sense of responsibility. And I know that is also a charged word. But when you break it down, it's our ability to respond, our response ability, right? And as any kind of creative, and again, if even that is a word that maybe you have some hang-ups about, because there can be a lot of hang-ups about what creativity is, being a creative person, but no, everyone is a creative being. It does not even involve art, right? This is separating it from art right now, any kind of art. But this is our, that we are able to respond. And so, as individuals, no, we're not responsible for the mess we're in, right? Like, not individually responsible. But when we can get to that place, you're like, yeah, I accept the mess we're in. I accept my part in this. And I am activating my response ability and accepting the truth of it to be able to meet it with any kind of creative thinking. Because really, when I'm saying let's meet chaos with creativity, I'm talking about creative solutions, creative thinking. And yes, I'm talking about creativity. Let's get creative because we're over the shock of it, right? Most of us by now are over the shock and denial. And hopefully we've moved through someone help me out if you actually know those stages of grief, right? Ideally, we should all be farther along. So we're ready now. We've moved through those first few stages of grief, if not all of them by now, right? And so when we can remember that, our ability to co-create, then that's when we can respond in this way. And yes, good. Thank you for for engaging in the comments. Yeah. We have to look at what our part is. And truly, even if you're feeling some resistance, like I had nothing to do with all this mess. Well, yeah, like I said, as an individual, you likely didn't, right? But also, what's your part in it? What part are you playing in it now that we're moving forward with all of this, right? Not getting over it. Oh, I can't wait till this is over. Like, we are forever changed. And that's a good thing. Hallelujah. I mean, there's just so many silver linings to what's happened in the last 2 years too, right? So it's no mistake that my seed word for this year is creativity. And I will tell you that even when I came up with this like talk title for Creatrix Conversations at the beginning of January, I hadn't actually fully landed on creativity. But looking back over the last few weeks, I can see, yeah, my higher self, my intuition knew before my logical brain, before I really knew and accepted it. Because I got to be honest, when I first received the hint of that word for me, because I've been working with a seed word of the year since 2016. So I'm always like, now I'm like, it's part of my New Year's rituals and, going into a new year. When I first started getting that inkling, hearing creativity, I did not welcome it with open arms and enthusiasm. I didn't. It felt like, oh no, that can't be it. Like, that sounds almost like too light and fun. I had to wait for weeks. I had to keep on thinking about it, and it continued to show up. Creativity. And so I want to tell you a little bit more about, thank you. So denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. Thank you. So yes, so I am hoping that most of us have moved through those first few stages of grief, especially, like specifically around the pandemic, into some kind of acceptance. And so now that we are at acceptance, we can do something about it, right? And it doesn't negate or deny that there has been loss and grief and struggle and that we're frustrated, hopelessness. Oh, God. I've been very, very transparent about my dance with despair and hopelessness and back to optimism and hopefulness and then back into despair and hopelessness. Oh, God, I've been doing that tango for 2 years. So yeah, so it's all normal, and can we accept it all? So back to working with my seed word of the year. I just want to share a little bit about, even just the last couple of years. So for 2020, I received the word trust. And right away, I felt challenged by that word, but I also immediately knew that it was the word, like the theme that I needed to work with. And so I started 2020. Okay, I'm working with trust this year. I had no idea how much I would be tested, how much my trust would be tested. It was, it was an incredible initiation and journey working with trust. Last year, the word that came forward was presence. Now, I don't know how you might respond to either of those words. How do you respond to trust? How do you respond to presence? For me, presence felt a little bit like a little bit confusing because I am so action oriented. I was like, how do I do presence? Okay, I just really present. And that was the last thing that I wanted, if you hear me. Things still really sucked, right? There was plenty that I wanted to escape from going from 2020 into 2021. So presence again felt so challenging. And and last year was, yeah, just like incredibly challenging with all of that. Like here where I live in British Columbia, Canada, we are really feeling the change, like, climate change, like unprecedented heat waves. I had to stay present. Cr- Crazy wildfires, like a horrible forest fire season, and one really, really close to me that had us on forest fire alert. You know, very literally something that will make people want to escape, right? Run away from the fire. And I had to stay present, in presence to all of it. Getting COVID for my birthday. Yay, happy birthday to me. COVID. And I had to stay present. It was really, really hard. It was challenging and it was rewarding. And so now, like, moving out of presence into creativity, I was like, what? Great Mother's asking me to, like, be in creativity after all of this? And as I've been sitting with it, it's like, right, because I'm finally able to be in acceptance from working with trust and presence. Now I can respond creatively, right? So I'm asking you, I'm inviting you, all of you, beloved sisters, I am inviting you to really consider, what can you create out of this chaos? What kind of creativity are you longing for right now? And it doesn't need to be big. Like I'll say again, this doesn't need to be art, even though you all know I love art. If you want to create some art out of this chaos, by all means. But, like, can you create, a calm and peaceful mental climate amidst all the chaos in the external world? Hallelujah, right? Create that. Create a beautiful place in your heart. What can you create in your family life, your home life? What is it that you want to create? So I would love for you to, if you are clear on that, maybe you're right away clear, this is something you already work about, you can share with us in the comments right now if you'd like. And if not, just take this away. I want you to sit with that. Thank you. Oh, I'm just saying, so your son has it right now. Yeah. Like getting COVID is definitely a new rite of passage in the 21st century. And yeah, it's unbelievable, the lessons that came through for me in my experience, with myself and my family. And in fact, this is the first time that I'm even speaking publicly about it, because I felt like I didn't have the words and I didn't have the objectivity to even speak about how intense emotionally it was for us all to get COVID. So I'm witnessing you, beloved, and I love that you are knowing that what you are creating in response is your home as sanctuary. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. You're doing your workstation right now, and there's some non-negotiable things, right? Like the chaos, but that you hear that you must still create. Yeah. Well, those of us that are strong creatrixes, as I know you are, beloved, yeah, like for us, it's we can't not. When we stop creating, like a part of us dies. And then we're all out of sorts until we realize that we need to come back to creating. So I really understand that. And like I keep on coming back though, I'm not just speaking to the artists. We are humans as a species are a creative species. We naturally create. So I want to be clear here too. I don't want to impose my seed word on the year on all of you, right? Well, okay, maybe I do a little bit. Maybe I do want to impose a little bit, but you all have your own. Well, actually, maybe you don't. Some of you will also have your own seed words that you are working with, and pretty soon I'm going to share 5 different ways that 5 of my favorite ways to work with a seed word of the year. But I am inviting us. So whatever your seed word is of the year, if you have one, and you don't need one, this is just a practice, and it's all suggestions, right? But just to think of it like that, because when I think about chaos, I think about like the universe pre-Big Bang almost, like it's like that creative chaos. Like I think about like star nebula, like the nurseries where stars are born, and it's just like chaotic energy. And like what does chaos need? But it's like someone to come in who is willing to like shape the energies, direct the energies, like just like bring some creative energy into that chaos. That's what it feels to me like that's what chaos wants is a creative response. So, um, like I said, I don't want to impose my word of the year just because I'm in creativity this year. But to really, I am inviting you to think, what is it? What is it in your world, in your mind, in your heart, like in your life that you're wanting to create from this chaos? And let us support you and witness you, because that, as we start the year with our first High Holy Day celebration with Imbolc, Imbolc is the quickening. There's an energy of quickening that takes us right into spring. And so if all of us, and this is my invitation for the whole sisterhood, the whole community, the clearer that we can be, I mean, clarity always helps, but if we're at least committed to working with the process, this is the time of year, and like coming at those holy days, the ceremonies, then we can all witness each other, support each other, and inspire each other to see how these things are growing and taking shape throughout the year. Beautiful. Oh, your seed word is quickening, and I just said quickening. Nice. That's fantastic. Ooh, I love that. So, yeah, so maybe just as a fun experiment, how does your seed word play with mine? How does your seed word play with creativity? That would be fun. Because I really do believe that the world needs more creatrixes responding to the chaos with creativity, creative thinking, creative actions. Yeah. Aw. Yeah, I witness your tears. And I want to come back. And I just always naturally do this gesture as I've been, trained as a 13 moon mystery school priestess, like holding you, because there is tears. And I'm in a good space right now, but like just last week I was having my moment of tears, right? Let's all just take a breath. We are in quite a mess. And yet we learn so much from the messes. And even if some messes can't be entirely cleaned up, You know, like there is no going back. You know, there's there there is no, I can't wait until things go back to the way that they used to be. Because even if when we get to that time where it like it feels like that, oh yeah, there's a lot of things have kind of returned to, you know, normal, pre-pandemic normal or whatever. We're changed. We're all changed irrevocably. How we interact with each other, our awareness. I mean, we're talk about unprecedented. Something else that's unprecedented is us being globally aware, right? This is the first time that anything has affected all of us as one human family. And that we even have that global awareness. And genetically, we're not wired for this. Our really like our human wiring is catching up with how fast our consciousness is evolving, how fast our technology is evolving. So no wonder we're overwhelmed and stressed out. Unprecedented. Yeah. Yeah, witnessing you. Thanks for sharing that. I should be incredibly wise. Okay, so I'm just actually noticing the time, and apparently I've been going on for a bit. Thank you all for being here, and those of you that are on live and interacting and adding to the conversation. If you're watching the replay in the Facebook group, please add into the comments as well. So to wrap up, though, I do want to give some takeaways. I love tangible takeaways, right, as well as spiritual conversation. So here's my 5 favorite ways to work with a seed year. And again, these are all just suggestions, and take them or leave them if they are in your joy. So number 1 is put your word somewhere where it's very visible, somewhere visible to you every day. Like, you know, get out some colored markers and, you know, write it out or print it out with a pretty font, whatever you want. Put your word somewhere visible. That could be like on your dream board if you have one, could be just like on your fridge, above your mirror, on the cover of your journal, your computer wallpaper, or your phone lock screen, right? Create something so that you're just like regularly reminding yourself of your word so that you benefit from its medicine all year. Okay? Number 2, journal on it. Journal out, write out what this word means to you right now, because I guarantee it'll be an interesting reflection at the end of the year about what this word means to you, right? So journal on it. What are your feelings that around it right now? Are you welcoming it, or are you like me, where it's often like, oh my God, I am being initiated by this word this year? Yeah, so journal on it. That's number 2. Number 3, change 1 or 2 of your passwords that you regularly have to punch in to be your word. That's another way to regularly remind you that you're working with this energy. Now, I know this, I've told this story before, but it's just too funny to not. Trust, as a 5-letter word, is too short for like a lot of different things. Say no, it has to be like your password has to be 8 letters or more, right? You know that. So I had to I decided to add 2020 to it. Remember, this is before I knew a pandemic was coming and I was being initiated in trust. So all freaking year, like at least once a day, if not more than once a day, I was having to type in trust 2020. Trust 2020. Oh, mother. Trust 2020. It's too funny. Talk about getting a regular dose of the medicine, right? Now, if you have a longer word, you don't have to add the year. And you could, of course, choose to add whatever, you know, numbers or an exclamation point or whatever. But yeah, that was just my funny experience of using the password. That's the third way that you can work with your seed word of the year. Number 4 is, even though I know that I've been making sure that this doesn't feel exclusive, but my favorite way, number 4, is to make art with it, right? Paint, collage, write a poem or a song, crochet something. And it could either really like contain your word, right? Like your actual word, or images and different symbols or different things that like remind you of your word, that bring in the energy of the word. So again, these are all suggestions. You don't need to do them, but that's one of my favorite ways to work with it. And I have my word up on my dream board and with a collage that I've done. But again, that's just something that I love to do. So, and finally, the fifth way that I love to work with a seed word is to, and this is newer, honestly, just more recent. So I thought I'd share because it was a new way that I discovered to work with the word of the year, is to research if there's a crystal associated with your seed word. And how this came about is that my wonderful local metaphysical shop, has all these little bowls of crystals, but they've also done write-ups and they have really identified what they think is like the main, I guess, energetic theme word of each crystal. So Christy and I were in the store recently, and ironically, Christy's my wife, by the way. And ironically, her word for this year is trust. So when she told me that, I did an evil laugh. Ha ha ha! You're working with trust this year. Anyway, so she found a crystal that holds the energy of trust. And so then I looked around and I discovered, never learned about this crystal before, bumblebee jasper. Oop, a little bit fuzzy there. Bumblebee jasper. Doesn't it look like a little bee too? Bzz. So bumblebee jasper, apparently, is very connected to creativity. And so now I have this crystal in my sphere, right? I can put it on my altar, I can hold it in my pocket, and it's another way that holds the energy of it. So I'm realizing too that, you don't have to do research on crystals that embody the energy. You could research anything. You could research what plants and different properties that might be connected to your word, different deities, goddesses, right, that embody that energy. I'm sure there's any number of things. Is there a color frequency that is connected to the energy of your word, and do you want to work with that color more? So you see what I mean? There's a broader way that you could choose to work with this if this inspires you at all. Because again, these are just suggestions. Oh, great evil laugh. Oh yeah. Oh no, I got a great evil laugh. All right. Whoa, especially because it was like, oh yeah, I worked with trust in 2020. So yay. Okay, so there we are, my beloveds. And yeah, okay, good. I'm glad that some of these things are inspiring you. So just maybe a quick recap of those 5 ways to work with your seed word. 1, make your word visible. Put your word visible somewhere that you'll see it every day. 2, journal on it. 3, change 1 or 2 of your regular passwords to be the word. 4, make art with it. And 5, do some research. Find out if there's a crystal, a goddess, a plant, or a herb, or something that is associated with your word or with the energy of your word, and bring that into your life. Okay. Thank you so much, as always, for joining us, for tuning in to the every month we come together for these Creatrix conversations. And again, I just really want to come back to, what we opened, which was, yes, we are powerful beings. that we have the ability to co-create our reality. But remember, we are co-creating. It's not all on us. There is so many things at play, and we can only control, so much, right, in our own sphere. And so that's why the accepting and surrendering to what is such an important first step, right? Before we then have the ability to respond creatively. All right, my loves. Thank you so much. Hope you have a great rest of your day. I look forward to hearing more in comments or in other posts about maybe what you've done with some of these suggestions or inspirations. Once again, I hope to see you all on February 1st for our Imbolc ceremony, Keeper of the Sacred Flame. And until then, so much love. Blessed be.